remember it like it was yesterday. The year's 2013, and out of nowhere, Bungie comes out with a brand new title, Destiny. It was, in my mind, like a culmination of kind of everything that I always dreamed of.
If Shadowkeep makes anything crystal clear, it's that it was built for the hardcore audience that stuck with Destiny 2 for years through good times and bad, even if its new features run the risk of confusing and alienating new players.
That were in the same sort of position as me, and a lot of my friends as well have asked me, should I come back to Destiny 2? So I'm gonna make a video for you guys, and hopefully it helps a lot of people out. So really quickly, to answer the question, should you come back to Destiny?
I don't think most people buy Destiny to play through the campaign. They're buying it for the promise of an endgame that's worth playing. Destiny 2 completely gutted this endgame, hollowed out the game completely. So, let's now take a look and explore how Forsaken evolves Destiny's endgame experience.
I want to take some time today to speak from the heart, and that is me talking about Destiny 2 New Light, Forsaken, and Shadowkeep. And this is going to be a review that hopefully answers, is it worth it now? Because with the game being free to play or free to start, essentially, it's very easy to jump in and try it. So for those of you who have never played this game or are thinking of returning right now off the bat, you don't need to watch the rest of this video, but if you do, thank you very much. Jump in, it is free. You're gonna come back, your guardians are still there. Be sure to enable cross save if you're talking about jumping from a different or to a different platform. That's going to save you a lot of grind time. And with this game obviously expanding its horizons, it's going to be a really good year as we wrap up 2019 and head into 2020. Now we're going to address that and what is coming in a later video to Destiny, and I for one am very excited. But I wanted to hit on a couple of things. Obviously a lot of the questions that we see, especially on our guides, come in and it's like, hey, is it worth it for me to get Forsaken? And if I could actually speak sometimes, it'd probably be better videos, but or is it worth it for me to get Shadowkeep? And honestly, for me, the answer is yes. But I want to set the context. I want to set the context for everybody so they know what they're getting and they know what they're expecting. We say it in the guides, but I want to sit down and say, if you're expecting a Call of Duty experience, this is not going to be a game that you might find enjoyable. Maybe it would be, like, maybe it's something that you would step in and realize that you are getting the game that you want. But as you saw in the intro, like if you married World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV and Halo, you're going to get what essentially Destiny is. It's that addictive MMO light first-person shooter experience that's all about like collection and community. But one of the things I do want to bring up and talk about is the Season Pass. Now, as Destiny has gone into its free-to-play or free-to-start mode, they are going to sell you Forsaken, they're going to sell you Shadowkeep, and they have the Seasonal Pass model, which will carry us all the way into the next main expansion, we assume, as they've talked about already, a 5-year plan for Destiny 2. This would technically be year 3, so does that mean 5 more years or 2 more years before we eventually see a Destiny 3 at some point? We don't know, but we'll obviously be talking about it and seeing how it evolves. But before I digress, I want to say and set some context in case Google recommended this video to you and you don't know who we are, what we stand for, and what's going on in our lives. My name's Brian. This is the Work to Game channel. We love to talk about especially RPGs, but I've been a long Destiny fan. Now, we'll talk about why I quit, which actually was a really big video for the channel back in the day, later in this video. But I want to talk about who I am as a gamer, because it's important. I have just hit level 55 on the season of the Undying, and that ends here in 7 days. In 7 days, can I grind out 45 levels, or will I end up purchasing them? Spoiler alert, no, I'm not going to end up purchasing them, even though I do want to make sure that I support the game whenever I can, because I want them to make more of the game. But they're going to sell it at 100 silvers per tier. At this point, that would be basically roughly $45 to finish off this Undying, or grinding out like crazy. Now, it's not their fault that I'm not at cap. Many people have already hit cap. But I want to speak to you guys so you understand what the context is for my game time. Over the course leading up to this, we had a baby, another baby, and that's really great. We've been really busy with work and things like that. Life finds a way, and it can also somewhat take away from game time, and that's perfectly fine for me. I also play other games like Final Fantasy XIV, and I've been playing a lot of Pokemon with my kids on the Nintendo Switch. All in all, I'm not stressed about not hitting cap. I bought the season pass because that's what I wanted as a way of me supporting the game, and each season is going to be $10, and now we know what the price point's going to be for you to do that per tier. Maybe with the Season of the Dawn, I'm going to be able to finish Cap much quicker because I don't have a new baby on the way, and that means that I'll probably have more time to play games. With the game releasing on Stadia, I'm able to play in more places here in my house, which means that I can kind of hop in and get a lot of pickup games. And the other thing about it, outside of like what's going on in the real world and my real life, I am primarily a PvP player. I was invited by friends who work over at Nvidia to come do some of the raids with them, and that was an amazing time. But that's something that I don't do all the time. So I tend to gravitate towards PvP, and this is kind of my big PvP game. So I think that there's definitely some efficiencies that I am not taking advantage of when it comes to leveling. But for anybody out there who might be somewhat in my situation, who Destiny might not be the one game you play, ultimately, I don't know if the Season Pass model is essentially going to be worth it for you. However, we do know more changes are coming, and the Season of the Dawn, which is the next season, starts December 10th, which I'm very excited about jumping in. I personally really enjoy Season Pass models, and if I was going to offer one bit of critique in what I would like to see them add to the Season Pass, would be Silver. Like if they added that as an option for the paid tier to have it unlock so that technically you could decide to buy a new season if you completed the whole season or more, that would be pretty interesting. I thought overall it was very fair because each seasonal, each tier was the same amount of XP regardless. So it felt like you were constantly at a very consistent rate getting those unlocks and obviously taking advantage of any bonus that you possibly could as a part of your weekly reset. I would have done a lot better if I took advantage of that. But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to talk about that seasonal pass and the season itself as a piece of this review, because I think it's absolutely well worth your time with Destiny, as long as you understand the context. And that context is it's marrying a first-person shooter and an MMO. And once you understand that, I think that ends up being a much more inviting way to come into this game, because most of the comments that we see when we post Destiny content are people who love Destiny or people who were like, this isn't Call of Duty. And I'm using that as an example. You could also kind of say Halo, where there are things within the Destiny world that are very grindy, that put you into the world, into the PvE and the PvP. And that's not necessarily for everybody. So if you're in that category, I don't know if Destiny would ever be for you. And thus, I would also wonder, there's got to be something there, because you obviously clicked on this video and you're obviously at this point watching these words or hearing these words. And thus, there is something there that I would wonder and would love to hear your thoughts as to your curiosity around Destiny, if it's still something that isn't for you. What are you specifically looking to find out about Destiny? What can it do better to really kind of capture your attention? So those are those pieces there. I want to talk to kind of new and returning players. Like I said at the beginning, it is free to start. You can go download it on any platform. Please enable cross save. It's going to really benefit you when being able to play in different locations. Personally, PC and Stadia run the best for me. Stadia is going to be that weird thing up in the air for a lot of people because it's not necessarily going to work. Chris and I sat down and played a couple games. He did not have the pristine experience that I was having at the same time. It's really interesting to see kind of a platform like this perform differently. But beyond cloud gaming, I've been playing on Shadow PC and obviously locally on PC. Plays fantastic. On console, you're going to run into a lot more loading times, which can ultimately be frustrating. So I tend to gravitate towards PC because that is the pristine experience that they offer. So it's in Steam. You can go download it if you got a PC that can run it, and hopefully you have a really good experience. If you don't, you can also check out Shadow PC because that actually really is running way better than Stadia, or at least very comparable in terms of load times. But the visual fidelity of the game itself really plays itself out really well. Then, hopefully that kind of answers that question. From here, Forsaken and Shadowkeep. Those are the other number one questions that we tend to get when it comes to like, are you going to pick up this game? You get with just the free, the free version. You get the Red War, you get Osiris, and you also get Warmind. All right, let's shift that into the idea here, though. Forsaken and Shadowkeep. I would say yes to both of those games. Forsaken, incredible. I played it on all three characters all the way through. Shadowkeep, I've done that on one character, but it's something where Destiny is something that, again, like I said, I usually tend to go into the PvP content unless typically invited by friends, where you have the strikes and more. What I like about all of this, the whole package, is that PvP and the PvE, like, you know, strikes and lists, they aren't separate. You're not going to find yourself not able to go play with your friends. They're not making these little walled off gardens, thus dividing the community further and further. What they hopefully will do, and this is a very contentious, opinion of mine, is crossplay. And at the end of the day, cross save is great. I want crossplay with the optional PvP version for crossplay. When I think of crossplay and I think of the PvE game, I think of this would be perfect for Destiny, and they give people the ability to opt in to PvP. Maybe wait till, I guess, the next generation hardware for PvP optimization, but beyond that, I think that would be something very, very beautiful for this game, because whether you're on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, who knows what else in the future. The thing I would add, though, is that Forsaken was a really great expansion, and I think Shadowkeep returning to the moon, and when I say speaking from the heart here, there's just this great, like, love. At first, the moon was very annoying, but what they've done with it here in Shadowkeep is this really beautiful experience. And I like that people can go to the moon without having to buy Shadowkeep. But the content, it's there. I love the new raid. I really enjoyed this game and have for a long time. Ultimately, the question will be is that, like, the game uses psychological methods to get you to want to purchase the content. And it's that when you're in PvP, you might get killed by a certain gun, and it's going to have you thinking like, okay, well, is it the gun that bested me, or was it the player? And that's going to make you wonder how to go get the gun, and then you're going to go either figure out how to do it or learn that it's behind a paywall. Hopefully, when we see them move into the next season pass, and hopefully we see as Destiny evolves over the next 5 years or more, that kind of evens itself out, that kind of balances itself out. Personally, being that the game doesn't, charge a subscription fee, I think it's okay for them to make money. I think that their relationship with Activision and that separation has been a huge improvement from how they manage and communicate to players. But at the same time, like, there is always a fear because they have to keep the lights on. If no one's spending money on the game, but yet we keep like, yeah, give me more, eventually they're going to get burned out because they're going to close down. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think that they're still going to be filling out what ultimately is the best model for the game and the franchise and for the business itself. And I think that's what we saw with Season of the Undying being kind of this test bed. I don't think that everything they had and how they structured it was the best. Obviously, not having completed it and looking at the next week, I'm wondering how far I'll be able to get. And I'm not planning on purchasing it, but then at the same time, it'd be really nice if the game was feeding me a currency to help unlock those levels to be able to either use in the store or use on trying to unlock those features. I like season pass models. And when I looked at, I felt like I put a lot of time into the game. I felt like before I had to take long breaks to help out with the family and not have a lot of game time to be able to kind of spare to jump in, and obviously more focusing on the PvP content. I could have probably done it way better. So I don't blame them. That's completely on me, on how I managed my time and my experience. I'm fully looking forward to jumping into Season of the Dawn, but obviously learning more about the Season of the Dawn here on the 4th to seeing what lessons they learned. Anyway, we plan to talk about that, so if you're new here and you're still watching this video, hit that subscribe button. Come back for more Destiny content. We'll have a link in the description for our Destiny playlist, so if you just want to see our Destiny content. We talk a lot about a wide range of games here. We hope that you join us, and we hope that you come and say hi and leave us in the comments. Let us know if you have any questions, because I think Destiny 2 is definitely on the right track, and it's really exciting to see where they've come from the time that I quit. And so I did say I was going to spend some time on that, and this is kind of that part. So to address me leaving.
Then once this realization had set in, Bungie made mistake after mistake after mistake. And on top of that, the first 2 expansions were considered mediocre at best.
I really felt like that was the right call, and I still stand by that. I'm very happy I quit, because it allowed me to kind of send a message of dissatisfaction. And I'm glad that there are people who didn't. They kept playing the game, and hopefully they enjoyed it. But at Osiris, it really felt like Destiny was completely lost from what made it so special, and it felt like Bungie wasn't able to make the right calls or make the right choices. And then they continued to make mistake after mistake after mistake, And honestly, at that point, I felt like it was better and more in the interest of being a fan of Destiny not to play. And that was very difficult for me. And so I left and I uninstalled and I stopped watching Destiny content. I really did a full separation. And it wasn't until that I heard that Activision and Bungie split did I actually then go say, hey, what's going on with this game? And with that, I felt like at that point it was owed for me to be able to step back into the world of Destiny 2 because I had quit, because I had put a litmus test of the things that I wanted to see brought into the world of Destiny 2. And they had done that. And they did that actually with Forsaken. I didn't follow Forsaken. Forsaken was already out. By the time I returned, it was only a couple of months before Shadowkeep dropped. And I was able to go get Forsaken on a very discounted deal, which was great. Play all the way through that content a couple of times. And then I was ready, felt like I was ready to jump into Shadowkeep, which I was. And I've been having a blast ever since then. And so that's what I wanted to sit down and talk with you guys today about, to give a context to the Season Pass, to give a context to New Light, Forsaken, and Shadowkeep, and hopefully answer those questions, as well as obviously address, like, it's still like one of my #1 videos here on the channel about me quitting, and I want to address that because I think it's important that if a company is doing things that you like, that you communicate that, and that will let them know, like, hey, people are coming back to the game and they're enjoying the game. We're obviously doing something right. I like that each season and each piece of content is a la carte. You can opt in and opt out. Now, I personally bought the Season Pass because I really saw a trend in which that I was liking, so I'm going to be continuing to do the seasons, and hopefully I'll be able to finish one. So we'll keep you up to date on that. There were some things that I want to get on this current season before it wraps up here in 7 days. And yeah, so I'm going to be playing some Destiny and trying to get caught back up and trying to see if I can get any further than I can, while trying to obviously maintain a good, healthy life, work, family balance with my video games. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, sound off in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have an amazing day. But anyway, for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thanks so much for watching. And I hope you have an amazing day. Am I in a loop? The Vex here? I'm just, yeah. Anyway, see you guys. Take care.